Gators are lurking in the swamp, and inside Ben Hill Griffin Stadium, the Florida faithful have arrived to cheer on Fred Taylor and 14 other Gator seniors in their final home game. But the garnet and gold-clad Florida State fans have made the 150-mile trip from Tallahassee to see if their Seminoles can cap a perfect regular season with a victory against their most bitter rival. It's number 1 Florida State versus number 10 Florida. Here come the Gators, number 1 in the nation earlier in the season, now number 10 with a record of 8-2. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to NASDAQ College Football on CBS Sports. I'm Sean McDonough. It's great to have you with us for the 40th meeting all-time in this rivalry. It has become the most heated rivalry in all of college football, as we saw during the pregame warm-ups when the two teams had to be separated. Players and assistant coaches had to be separated by the officials. And in recent years, this has also become the most important rivalry in college football. As for the 10th consecutive meeting between these two teams, both will be ranked in the top 10 of the nation at game time. This year, Florida State, number 1, still on the path to a possible national championship and an appearance in the Orange Bowl. Florida State cannot defend its national title. Rather, Florida cannot. But the Gators still are thinking about an Alliance Bowl. And if they can't win the national title, they certainly would like to make sure the Seminoles don't. And I'm joined by Terry Donahue. Coach, when we talk about the number 1 team in the country, Florida State, obviously outstanding on offense and defense, but this year the defense has gotten a lot of attention.
Well, their defense has been superb, Sean. They're number 1 in the country against the rush, number 3 in total defense. They have 64 sacks on the year, and this year only 2 quarterbacks that have started against FSU have finished the game. They're led by Andre Wadsworth. He's the best defensive lineman in the country. He's equally adept at rushing the passer or stopping the run. He will play havoc in the Florida backfield this afternoon.
And the Seminoles have a veteran, experienced quarterback in Thad Busby. The Gators do not. Their quarterback situation still very much up in the air. Noah Brindise will start today, but we could see 3 QBs.
Well, Florida has been very unsettled at the quarterback position. Noah Brindise, he seems to move the team the best, and Steve Spurrier will go with him. But look for Doug Johnson and also Jesse Palmer, the backups, to have some time. Spurrier has designed certain plays for each of the quarterbacks, but I think the offensive line for Florida is the key. If they can punch some holes in the into the Florida State defense for Fred Taylor, their tailback. Taylor is the leading rusher in the Southeastern Conference. He can make a difference in today's game.
Florida State won the toss and deferred, so Florida elected to receive the opening kickoff in front of this raucous sellout crowd in Gainesville. Sebastian Janikowski's kickoff bounces down to the 2. Bo Carroll, the true freshman, stopped shy of the 20-yard line. Down at the 17. Tackled by David Warren. Florida leads the all-time series 25-12-2, but since Steve Spurrier became the head coach at Florida, Florida State has the advantage. 5 wins, 3 losses, and 1 tie. Coach Spurrier's quarterback today is Noah Brindise, the senior from Fort Myers. 3rd string when the season began, but now starting for the 3rd straight game. He's led them to victories over Vanderbilt and South Carolina the last 2 weeks. Much tougher foe today. He's on target to Travis McGriff on the first play from scrimmage out to the 24. Tay Cody made the tackle on the junior McGriff. Fred Taylor is the Gators' leading rusher, over 1,000 yards for the season, with Frazier, Ross, Jaquez Green, and Jamie Richardson. The rest of the skilled position players up front: Zach Pillar, Ryan Kalick, Wiley Rich, Cheston Blackshear, and Mo Collins. That offensive line has been in transition throughout. They're back to the combination that started the season and was effective early on. Taylor gets very little. A gain of 1. Shevin Smith up from his safety spot to make the tackle. That'll bring up 3rd down and a short 3. Outstanding front 4 on defense for the Noles. Wadsworth with Julian Pittman, Jerry Johnson, and Greg Spires. The linebackers are the 3 leading tacklers on the team. Sam Coward, a Butkus Award finalist with Darrell Bush and Lamont Green. In the secondary, Samari Roll, Shevin Smith, Dexter Jackson, and Tay Cody, a redshirt freshman. Doug Johnson at quarterback. We expect to see all 3 quarterbacks play today. Johnson throws, and it is juggled and caught. What a catch at midfield by Jaquez Green.
Jaquez Green for Florida lined up at wide receiver. He's got 54 catches on the year. He's the outside man. He just runs down the field against man-to-man. Tay Cody, 27 on the coverage. Green turns around and catches the ball on the rebound. It's just a great individual effort by one of the best receivers in the Southeastern Conference.
That's his 55th catch of the year. Now it's Brandeis back in. Spurrier changing quarterbacks on virtually every play. Fred Taylor, lots of running room against the best rushing defense in the nation. He's out of bounds with a first down at the 37-yard line. Pushed out by Shevin Smith, and that's a gain of 12 for the senior in his last home game.
This was the lead draw play that Florida loves to run. Zach Pillar, the left tackle, he makes the key block. Watch him take the defensive end for Florida State and push him upfield, which opens the hole for number 21, Fred Taylor. So far, Florida is using the game plan that they used in the Sugar Bowl against Florida State.
4th down and 3 for Steve Spurrier and the Gators. They're going for it at the 30. The toss. Taylor pitches it to Jaquez Green. Johnson is wide open. Inside the 20. And out of bounds at the 12-yard line. What a play on 4th down.
Jaquez Green, remember, was a high school quarterback. Florida runs the reverse play here. And Jaquez Green is going to throw it back to the quarterback. But watch number 18. He's going to be wide open for a touchdown. Jaquez Green didn't see him. He laid it off to the quarterback, Doug Johnson, for the first down. But it could have been a touchdown for Florida.
And that was a late hit called against Shevin Smith out of bounds. And as a result, they've moved the ball inside the 7-yard line. Steve Spurrier, known for his bag of tricks, into that bag early. And now he has Brandeis back at quarterback. 1st and goal, Gators. Draw. Taylor dancing down near the 3-yard line. Darrell Bush made the stop for the Noles.
John, when you're in one of these big rivalry games, it's so important to get off to a good, positive start. You've built up the game all week in your players' minds. It's been in the press. Everybody's talking about it. And all of a sudden, if you can get a jump start, it does wonders for you the rest of the afternoon. And Steve Spurrier certainly has got a jump start with his offense.
An offense that has seen its confidence shaken in recent weeks. Johnson back in. Taylor right up the middle, touchdown.
This is the isolation play that Florida likes to run. Watch the fullback right there, number 40, Rod Frazier. He leads on Sam Coward, the All-American linebacker from Florida State. That's the block that punches the ball into the end zone. Steve Spurrier happy with that opening drive. What a way for the offense to get going.
Collins Cooper out of the hold of Billy Young, trying to make it 7-0. And that one is no good. That's been a problem. It's the 6th PAT missed by Cooper this year in 52 tries. 6-0 Florida. Doug Johnson back in the spotlight in Gainesville. Gators fired up after the opening drive. They took the opening kickoff and marched 83 yards in 10 plays. Stevenson deep into the end zone, and Jermaine Stringer will down it. 19th touchback this year for Stevenson. That was his 67th kickoff. Well, the Seminoles, unaccustomed to playing from behind this season, trailing 7-0 as Thad Busby takes the field for the first time today. The senior from Pace, Florida. 3,098 yards passing this season for Busby. Needs 27 today to set their single season school record. With deafening noise, the background, the swing pass to Travis Minor. Javon Curse combined with Tony George to make the tackle, but a quality gain for the Noles on first down out to the 26. Minor, the true freshman, their leading rusher, with Khalid Abdul, the fullback, Melvin Pearsall, an outstanding receiver, as are E.G. Green and Peter Warren. And up front, Ross Brannon, Jason Whitaker, Kevin Long, Donald Heaven, and Trey Thomas. The Florida State coaches think Thomas, the tight tackle, could be a high first-round pick in the next NFL draft. Second and 4. Busby, pressured, throws out of bounds. It was caught by E.G. Green, but he was out of bounds along the far sideline. Now the Florida defense, 10th of the nation in total defense. Rogers, Moten, McGrew, and Cohen's a front four that is healthier than it has been in recent weeks. Dwayne Thomas, the middle linebacker, with Johnny Rutledge, and the pass rushing specialist Javon Curse. And the veteran secondary of Elijah Williams, Tony George, Tego Brown, and Fred Weary. Weary, a finalist for the Jim Thorpe Award to the nation's best defensive back. Bobby Bowden's team, accustomed to coming out early and knocking its opponents on their heels. Today, the Seminoles knocked back a bit by the early Gators score, trying to keep this possession alive on 3rd down and 4. From their own 26, Busby chased out of the pocket short of the first down. Reggie McGrew made the tackle at the 28. Busby came up 2 yards shy.
Florida State tried to run a quarterback draw there with Thad Busby. It's a great call on 3rd down and short yardage like that. But the Florida defense inside, particularly 92 right there, Reggie McGrew, he's the one that reacted to it, got off the block, and made the play.
Deep Cottrell, the true freshman, in to punt. They come after him, and he got it off, and it's a beauty. Jamie Richardson backpedaled to the 23. Good moves in traffic. He's down at the 33. A 48-yard punt and a 10-yard return. David Warren made the tackle for Florida State. Today's NASDAQ Scholar Athlete of the Game is Darrell Bush of Florida State University. Darrell was a first-team academic All-American last year, already has an undergraduate degree in finance with his 3.9 grade point average, and he's working toward a master's. That's the kind of guy you want at middle linebacker, adjusting your defense, being able to see set recognition. Handoff by Brandeis. Taylor fumble. Sam Cowart picks it up. Touchdown, Seminoles. Lamont Green knocked it out. Lamont Green, the linebacker, came from all the way behind the play from across. He's right there. He will chase the ball down, knock it loose from behind. Right there. He strips that ball, and Sam Cowart, number 1, picks it up, the All-American linebacker. The Seminoles, there's a reason they're number 1 in the country against the rush. And Sebastian Janikowski added the extra point. That's the 3rd time this year Cowart has scored a touchdown. He recovered a fumble and returned it 24 yards for a score against Duke, and he dove on a loose ball in the end zone for a touchdown against Clemson. Now this one. And Andre Wadsworth, number 85, the All-American defensive end. He's the player that just put his headgear right on there, working against Taurus Ross, number 88, the tight end. You got to give Wadsworth some credit on this play. It's not going to show up in the stats, but that's what happened. So Florida had momentum after the opening drive, but
Momentum is shifted quickly to the Seminoles side. Janikowski, the true freshman from Daytona Beach, a native of Poland. He drove it to the back of the end zone, down by another true freshman, Bo Carroll. And the Gators begin at their own 20, trailing by a point with 4:26 left in the first quarter. Here's Michelle.
Well, guys, we learned the story behind that pregame fracas you saw between these two teams, and this is it. On the road, Florida State has a tradition of trampling the emblems on the opponent's field. The Gators had decided before the game they weren't going to stand for that, and when they saw the Seminoles start trampling their emblem, they went after them, and that's how it started, guys.
Just an old rivalry, Sean. Just one of those rivalries. That happens when the Bruins and the Trojans, or Ohio State, Michigan, that always happens.
Johnson throws short. Taylor fumbles again. That's a free football, and the Seminoles say they've recovered, and they have. Corey Simon came up with a free football. Shevin Smith knocked it free.
Shevin Smith, the walk-on strong safety. It's a little dump-off pass to Fred Taylor. It's a well-executed play by Johnson. It's a beautiful pass. Coward comes up, misses the tackle. Shevin Smith comes up, puts his helmet on it, knocks it loose. Florida State is one of the best turnover teams in the country. They're third in the country in turnover ratio. It's because of that attacking, penetrating defense.
Great field position for the Seminoles. 1st and 10 at the 20 of Florida. Busby zips one incomplete. A little bit behind his intended target. So now it's Sebastian Janikowski to attempt a 28-yard field goal. He is perfect from inside 30 yards this year. 4 for 4. A left footer out of the hold of a backup quarterback, Marcus Outson. Right down the middle. And Florida State takes a 4-point lead. 10-6 Seminoles. Less than 2 minutes remaining in the first quarter. Florida scored on its opening drive but missed the extra point. Now Florida State has capitalized on 2 Fred Taylor fumbles for 10 points. And it's 10-6 Seminoles with Janikowski to kick off to Elijah Williams. He's back deep with Bo Carroll. If you're in Atlanta, you better duck. That's coming into your living room.
I told you. Kickoff is so important, Sean. All of a sudden, you always have the offense starting from the 20-yard line. You keep them backed up. You don't give them a chance to get a big play on a return. It's huge, not only field position, but psychologically.
Plenty of running room for Bo Carroll off the pass from Johnson, and he's out to the 46-yard line. Similar to the screen that was called back on the play to Taylor a moment ago. Dexter Jackson pushed Carroll out of bounds. Brandeis back at quarterback.
Bo Carroll, the tailback, he just slips out of the backfield. One of the things you like to do on play-action pass, you fake to the tailback and let him just slip a little 4 or 5 yard route. The linebackers get lost sometimes in that play action. That was the case there.
Brandeis hands it off to Carroll. Darrell Bush made the tackle for a loss of 2 back to the 45. Interesting now that it's Bo Carroll at tailback after the 2 fumbles by Taylor. Taylor has been far and away their main ball carrier this year, and usually he doesn't put it on the ground.
No question. I'll tell you what you like to do, Sean. When somebody's starting to fumble in this kind of a game, bring them out for a while, set them down, settle them down, and then get them back in the game. I can't believe Fred Taylor will eventually get back in this game. He's just too good.
Carroll's a true freshman. He has blazing speed. Doug Johnson on 2nd and 12. Hit as he throws, and the pass falls incomplete. Johnson got leveled by Julian Pittman. Robbie Stevenson. Another line drive punt angled away from Ward. Out of bounds on the fly. And it is spotted at the 20. Well, now he's backing up. The official ran to the 22-yard line. Now he backpedals to the 19. Florida State has it 1st and 10 from its own 19.
Busby. Play action fake to Minor. Has a man. Look out. Peter Warwick is great at running after the catch. He ran into his own man Minor trying to help him downfield. Tony George knocked Warwick out of bounds at the 37, a gain of 18 on the final play of the first quarter. The score, Florida State 10, Florida 6. We'll return to Ben Hill Griffin Stadium right after this message and a word from your local station. Gators trying to feast on the Seminoles today, but after one quarter, FSU leads on a lovely afternoon for football. 73 degrees, a little bit on the humid side with the humidity at 87%. First play of the second quarter, 1st and 10. Minor eludes Mike Peterson, and then he was gang tackled at the 40-yard line. Sean McDonough with Terry Donahue. Very interesting strategy to start the ball game, coached by Steve Spurrier, alternating the quarterbacks after almost every play. Can you continue to do that for 4 quarters?
I think Steve will do it the entire game. He feels strongly that there are certain plays that Doug Johnson performs better and certain plays that Noah Brendai performs better. So he's going to do it the whole game.
Busby hands off on 1st down, and here goes Minor again. Out to the 49-yard line. Tony George and Fred Weary made the tackle. That's a gain of 13.
This is what coaches refer to as a sprint draw play. It's a play where you want the ball deep to the tailback, and the right side of the Florida State offensive line does a great job opening up this hole for Travis Minor. When you get the ball deep to a tailback, he can use his vision and his cutting ability. Then that's what the I formation, that's how it all came about. Get the ball deep, let a guy see the openings, and then run to him.
Busby's completed 4 in a row. He hands it off inside. Minor eludes the grasp of Javon Kearse, but he couldn't get away from Rod Grady. Grady, a freshman from Cuthbert, Georgia, has not played much this season. He's been a 3rd-teamer on the depth chart for much of the year.
Javon Kearse got his hands on him first, then missed the tackle. And Javon Kearse comes from this side of the screen. They're going to run a sweep this way. And he has the play diagnosed, misses the tackle. Minor's a good back. It's hard to get him down. But Rod Grady, 47, comes over with the extra effort, makes the play.
Loss of 1 on the play. They try it the other way, and the same result for Minor. Elijah Williams there to greet him.
You know, this is interesting, Sean. Florida State, they establish their offense with the pass, and then they run the ball to keep you honest, if you will. And what Bobby Bowden's doing now, even though some of these plays aren't successful, it's forcing the Florida defense to play honestly. You can't just line up and come after the passer.
And interestingly, he credits Steve Spurrier for proving that philosophy can win a national championship. He said Steve won a championship by passing to set up the run. Busby on 3rd and long. Throws, man open. It's Minnis inside the 10 with a 1st down.
You mentioned earlier, Sean, that Florida State had all kinds of receivers. 5, 6, 7 guys all playing the game. We've got Minnis working on Tony George. Number 1, Marvin Minnis. Number 13 is just going man-to-man against Tony George. He gets off the line, uses those hands, runs an inside route, and again, Thad Busby puts the ball right on the target.
10th catch of the season for the redshirt freshman from Miami. Limited in recent weeks by shoulder trouble. No problem making that catch. 1st and goal from the 5-yard line. 3 receivers to the right. Busby under a blitz. Touchdown. Pearsall wide open, 2 yards into the end zone. th touchdown reception of his career for Melvin Pearsall. He's all alone now in Florida State history atop the touchdown reception list for tight ends. He had been tied with Lonnie Johnson.
Boy, this is good coaching by Florida State. Travis Minor, he's going to run over here. The tight end's going to slip out there. And sure enough, Thad Busby has both of them to hit.
The extra point made it 17-6 Seminoles.
Florida State does a great job on this touchdown. Florida has Mike Pearson, number 29, and Keith Kelsey on the coverage, but the coverage was broken, and Melvin Pearsall was able just to slip outside underneath the two of them and wide open in the end zone.
He mentioned he moves out of the tie with Lonnie Johnson for number 1 all-time, all by himself. Touchdown catches by a tight end at FSU. And what an impressive drive. The first long scoring drive by Florida State today. 81 yards, 13 plays. It took 6 minutes and 15 seconds off the clock. And on the drive, Thad Busby was 6 for 6. Janikowski kicking into the light breeze this time. Doesn't prevent him from knocking it into the middle of the end zone where Bo Carroll downed it. Florida still has the edge in yardage. They've moved the football, but some key penalties and those 2 fumbles have really hurt the Gators. And Brandeis throws a screwball out of play to the right as he was under pressure.
Andre Wadsworth, the great defensive end, the left defensive end, working against Mo Collins, gave great second effort. He fell down and got up and then put pressure on the quarterback. It was exceptional effort by him.
Wadsworth, one of the greatest walk-ons in college football history. Came to Florida State as a walk-on. He weighed about 210 pounds when he graduated from high school. Coaches said he just wasn't far enough along as a football player to merit a scholarship. At the end of his redshirt freshman year, he was 245 and growing rapidly. Taylor looked like he had nowhere to go. He did a nice job to turn that into a 4-yard gain. Sam Coward and Lamont Green made the stop.
And you know, Sean, talking about Wadsworth, he played at a small Class A high school in Miami, and now he's a 500-pound bench presser. You know what the progress a guy can make with hard work and dedication. You look at that guy. He played nose guard last year inside the defense. This year they moved him outside the defense where he could get more one-on-one isolated pass rushes.
That move outside was an experiment that has worked pretty well, to say the least. Brandeis back in. He throws it high, caught by Jaquez Green. Green out to the 46-yard line. Sam Cowart had to race downfield to get involved in the tackle. 22-yard gain.
Jaquez Green has repeatedly come up with big plays for Florida, whether he throws a reverse pass, runs down the field and makes a reception. He's extremely athletic. He goes up and catches the ball in his hands. He's a hands catcher. A lot of receivers want to put that ball against the shoulder pads, not Green.
See the difference in the delivery between Brandeis and Johnson. Brandeis doesn't have quite as strong an arm, but he has enough to get that to Travis McGriff down to the 5-yard line.
Travis McGriff just runs down the right side of the field here, and Samari Roll, number 2, he took the play action fake. He thought it was a run, and McGriff was just wide open all by himself. Brandeis laid it up there nicely.
50-yard gain.
Just when you think Florida's out of it, they strike.
First and goal from the 5. Johnson in the end zone. Touchdown, Travis McGriff.
It's a little crossing route that Florida runs against Florida State. McGriff lines up in the slot and runs outside. There's a receiver who comes inside, Jamie Richardson. They get a little pick action there, and he's wide open for the touchdown. When you play man-to-man down there, crossing routes cause defenders to run into each other.
McGriff with his 3rd touchdown reception of the season. He's a junior from Gainesville, the son of a former Gator standout wide receiver Lee McGriff back in the 70s. They're going for two. Originally they moved the ball to the left hash mark, then put it back in the middle of the field. Right now it's 17-12. They'll try to get within 3. Movement along the line, no flags. Brandeis throws incomplete. Even if that had been caught, it wouldn't have been good for 2. As the intended receiver, Jamie Richardson, was short of the end zone. Samari Roll had the coverage. But it was a quick strike by the Gators, reminiscent of the Florida teams of yesteryear. CBS Sports coverage of NASDAQ college football will continue after a word from your local station. Robbie Stevenson ready to kick off. Davey Ford and Vanez Gooch waiting for the kickoff. Jermaine Stringer back there as well, and he took the kickoff and couldn't get back to the 20. Made it as far as the 17-yard line. Tony George made the tackle. 5.5 minutes remaining first half. Florida State by 5. Matt Busby is 20-1 as a starter in his career, and he nearly threw an interception. It should have been. He hit Dwayne Thomas right between the 5 and the 2.
Thad Busby has been almost perfect today with his throwing. This pass, I don't know what in the world he thought he saw, but as you mentioned, he throws the ball right at Dwayne Thomas. Dwayne Thomas just didn't get his head around quick enough to make the reception for the defense.
Oh my
Hit him
goodness.
right in the middle. That's why he's playing linebacker and not wide receiver.
That's right. You mentioned Busby is 20-1 in his career as a starter. Of course, the only loss to the Gators in the national championship game. 2nd down and 10. Here comes a blitz. Pass caught by Pearsall, the tight end. And he is stopped right at the 49-yard line by Johnny Rutledge with help from Rod Grady. Pearsall's a senior from Lake Wales, Florida, in his 3rd year as the starting tight end at FSU. And he's coming off the biggest game of his career. Had 114 yards receiving last week against Wake Forest. 3rd down and 6 from midfield for Florida State. The Noles lead by 5. Busby flushed. Busby throws on the run, and it is incomplete. He had Warwick open, but the pass was just short. And the noise has pinned our decibel meter down below. Looked like Busby's primary receiver on that play fell down. E.G. Green, he tripped and fell. He was open, but he just stumbled at about the 35-yard line of Florida. Keith Cottrell will punt it away to Jaquez Green.
Looks like Florida's going to come on a punt block here.
Cottrell was a quarterback in high school. Something to keep in mind. Bad punt caught on the run by Green. Bad direction by Green for just a moment, but here he goes. Jaquez Green. Out of bounds at the 48-yard line. Chased out by Khalid Abdullah. A 31-yard punt, but a 28-yard return.
You talk about a guy doing it all on his own. There's not many blocks on this punt return. There's a couple, but this guy's just able to bob and weave his way through the Florida State coverage team, and then he turns on the speed, and Abdul, he makes the play and saves the touchdown run.
Green returned a punt for a touchdown last week against South Carolina. Has returned 2 for scores this year. Doug Johnson, the quarterback. 5-point lead for Florida State. Just over 4 minutes remaining in the half. Fred Taylor across midfield and then down to the FSU 49 in the arms of Corey Simon, whose shoulder popped out earlier in the half, and Corey's back in there now for the Noles.
You knew that Florida was going to get Fred Taylor back in the ball game as well. That gives them a lot better opportunity to keep their running game alive. Take some heat off the quarterbacks as they shuffle in and out.
Johnson out of the shotgun on 2nd and short, going deep for Richardson. Incomplete. Crowd wanted to call on Shea Cody, but that pass wasn't catchable. It landed about 5 yards out of bounds, and there wasn't a whole lot of contact along that sideline either.
Now, there's some contact whenever you play offense as a receiver or defense as a defensive back. There's going to be some contact. He gets his hand out there a little bit, but you know, that's, to me, incidental contact. It goes both ways on that.
As you said earlier, the officials have been allowing that and some more this year on the perimeter. Brandeis back in. Third down, a long one. Nearly 2 yards to go. Taylor, first down at the 40, chopped down by Shevin Smith.
The last few minutes of this game, Sean, the Florida offensive line is starting to gain some advantage. They're coming off the ball. They're aggressive. They're starting to reestablish the line of scrimmage. They've done a good job protecting the quarterback, but they're also starting to punch some holes in that Florida State defense.
Steve Spurrier has been looking for the right combination of the offensive line all year. He's started 7 different combinations. 9 different offensive linemen have started a game this year. Green, fade stop, and the catch made at the 24-yard line. He pulled up right in front of Tay Cody to make the catch. And that's a first down on a 16-yard gain.
Steve Spurrier said he was going to work real hard to get the ball to Jaquez Green, and sure enough, Jaquez Green has come up huge in this first half. He's working against Tay Cody, 27. He just outleaps him, and watch the concentration and the hand strength. He held onto that ball with his fingertips.
Brandeis back at quarterback. First and 10 at the 23. A touchdown would give the Gators the lead. Taylor tripped up, but that's a quality gain down to the 16-yard line. Dexter Jackson had him by the ankles.
Sean, one of the dramatic things about this game that strikes me are the huge momentum shifts that we've had. Florida, early momentum, then Florida State, then Florida, back to Florida State, now Florida again.
And really, Terry, Florida has moved the ball more crisply, but the big penalties and the turnovers have been the big story of the first half. Johnson back at quarterback. 2nd and 3. Johnson with a lot of time. Zings one, incomplete, contact, and flags thrown. Nafis Kareem, the intended receiver, he got knocked down by Shevin Smith, and 2 officials threw the flag on that play.
Pass interference on the defense. Penalized at the spot of the foul. First down.
Shevin Smith, the senior from Miami, also a walk-on when he arrived at FSU.
Watch the block right here on the linebacker. Cowart, the All-American from FSU, was just cut down right there by Fred Taylor. That enabled the ball to get launched.
Brandeis from the 4, hands it off. Taylor untouched for a touchdown.
The interior of the Florida line gets a push, and the tailback Taylor's able to cut back into that huge void. When you get a push at the line of scrimmage, it creates running lanes, and the Florida offensive line did that.
Once again, the Gators will go for 2. Second touchdown run of the day for Fred Taylor, the senior from Belglade, Florida. Well, they don't have a timeout remaining, and with this confusion, they're a little bit harried as they come to the line with 5 seconds on the play clock. Johnson in trouble. Still in trouble. Throws it up for grabs. Green got one hand on it, but could not make the catch. And some of that, coach, has to be blamed on the sideline because they had a timeout to get the personnel they wanted, the play they wanted, and obviously there was confusion once they tried to go for the 2.
And what happens to you, Sean, you get all these players around you, and they're big, and they got these pads on. Sometimes you can't find the right guys that you want to get in there, and you assume that you're talking to the team that's going to be on the field, and then you look out there and you don't have the right guys on there. And that's exactly what happened to Florida that time. That's why the late substitution.
What a first half this has been. The number 1 team in the country, Florida State, heads to the locker room down by a point, knowing very well that the other number 1 team in the nation, Michigan, is still undefeated with a win today. Here's Michelle.
Well, you take a lead in at halftime. Why is the alternating quarterback thing working, and will you stay with it?
No, we just thought both of them deserved to play probably, and hopefully something good will happen. But, yeah, it's a close game. Anything can happen. I hope those extra points don't come back to haunt us.
Defensively, you wanted your secondary to hold up, and you wanted your line to pressure Busby. How happy are you with those efforts?
We've done pretty well. They've run the draw play too well. But it's a good game. Everybody's playing hard.
Good luck, Coach.
The end of the first half, the score, Florida 18, Florida State 17. Back at Florida Field, ready for the start of the second half. And Florida State will receive the second half kickoff. Lavernius Poles back at the goal line with Jermaine Stringer waiting for the boot from Robbie Stevenson. And we're underway in the second half. Coles takes it and downs it. So Florida State trails by a point in a must-win situation if they want to remain number one in at least one of the polls. Thad Busby opens with Minor, the lone back, and three wide receivers. Screen. Minor got a good block. Minor across the 35 and out of bounds at the 41-yard line. He followed the block of the guard, Donald Heaven. And Dwayne Thomas and Mike Harris combined on the stop. A 21-yard pickup on the first play of the second half.
A great call by Bobby Bowden and his staff. They had a lot of pressure in the first half by that Florida defense. 2 interceptions were dropped by the Florida defense. 1 interception gotten by them. They come out here with a screen to take pressure off right away.
1 minute played, second half. Florida has a 1-point lead. Busby forced from the pocket, has a man open. E.G. Green down to the 30-yard line. Pulled out of bounds by Tony George and Mike Harris. A huge third down conversion for the Seminoles, a gain of 22.
Florida State got the matchup that they wanted here. They put E.G. Green in the slot, and he matches up against a strong safety athlete who's not as good a cover man as a corner. And it was a great route by E.G. Green. Got wide open.
Green with at least 1 reception in 38 straight games. That's a Florida State record. He's a senior from Fort Walton Beach. 4 catches today for Green. Inside handoff. Minor didn't get far. Just more than a minute into the second half. Let's check the statistics from the first half. Florida had a 1-point lead. First downs even. Rushing yard edge to Florida State, but the passing edge dramatically in favor of Florida. And interesting that Doug Johnson attempted 15 passes while Noah Brindise attempted only 4.
Well, when you're playing against a speed defense like Florida State has, you need speed on the ball, and that's what Doug Johnson brings to Florida. More speed than Noah Brindise.
Minor cut it back through the middle and went to the 25-yard line where he was tackled by Reggie McGrew. There are the quarterback numbers of which we were speaking a moment ago. Of course, Brindise had the one big completion to McGriff on a 49-yard play. Set up the score late in the half. Steve Spurrier on his way to the locker room ruining the missed conversion. They have not converted after a touchdown. Another third down conversion upcoming for Florida State on 3rd and 5. They'll try to move the chain. That throw on the money. E.G. Green, first down Seminoles. Green down at the 12-yard line.
The Florida State coaches said before the game they liked how they matched up outside against Florida. And what's happening is E.G. Green is in the slot, so he gets to work against a strong safety or a nickelback who is not as good a cover man, and consequently they're finding seams in there for him to work, and he's doing a great job getting open, beating man-to-man coverage when it's man or getting open against zone.
He has 52 catches for the year now. First down and 10 from the 12. Minor running left. 3-yard gain to the 9. On the previous play, Tico Brown made the tackle. While making the tackle, he got hit by one of his own teammates, and he left the field favoring his left arm. Rod Grady, the reserve safety, has taken his place and is still in there with 2nd down upcoming. 3rd down and 7. Forced to throw it short, and Minor's in trouble. Down back at the 13-yard line. Tony George, the first hit. Devon Kearse helped out, and the field goal unit comes on for Coach Bowden.
The defensive line did a great job. Mike Moten, number 90, he's the guy that felt out that little screen pass. He came on an inside twist stunt, came to the outside, and number 90, he chased it down and strung it out so that number 1, Tony George, could finally get him down and make the tackle along with the rest of the Florida defense.
Sebastian Janikowski, 1 for 1 today. This to give Florida State the lead, and it is good from 31 yards. The Noles go back on top by 2. Back and forth game throughout. Florida State, with the opening kickoff of the second half, marched deep into Florida territory, and Janikowski kicked a field goal of 31 yards to give the Noles a 2-point lead. Now Janikowski's kickoff sailed over the head of Bo Carroll and through the back of the end zone. So the Gators will begin at the 20. Noah Brindise takes the first snap of the second half at quarterback and throws a floater in the flat for Taylor. He's tackled by Darrell Bush, but that's a first down out to the 32-yard line. Green again today showing his versatility, ability to catch, run, and throw. Here's an acrobatic catch among the 5. And yet
the great
another.
Concentration here, Sean. He just hangs onto that ball in those fingertips, and sure enough comes up with a great reception.
He threw a pass for a completion to Doug Johnson on a 4th down play on the opening drive. He returned a punt 28 yards. That got them started on a scoring drive. Taylor threw a nice hole off a left tackle. Managed to pull out of that tackle around the ankles by Shevin Smith for an extra yard or 2. Taylor out to the 39-yard line, about 2 yards short of the first down.
One of the things about Fred Taylor today, he's attacking the line of scrimmage. He's running downhill. He's got his shoulder pads turned down the field, and he's going after the Florida State defensive line, and the Florida offensive line is able to hold their own. They've been good not only in the running game, but not giving up a bunch of sacks.
Brindise at quarterback. 2nd down and 2. Play action fake. Brindise pressured, threw a little lofting pass over the middle, and he was lucky that that wasn't picked off. Taurus Ross, the tight end, the intended receiver, and Shevin Smith went diving in front of it. Greg Spires was putting the heat on Brindise.
Nobody blocked Greg Spires, Sean. He just came off the corner as clean as he could and just put tremendous pressure on Brindise. Brindise is asking the coach, who's supposed to block that guy? Get somebody on that guy.
Florida State, the best team against the run in the nation. Florida's rushed for 51 yards today. Johnson back in on 3rd down and 2. Everybody up on the line for the Florida State defense, and Taylor runs right by them. Fred Taylor may go. Touchdown, Florida!
Of the fullback, number 40 on Darrell Bush, the middle linebacker. Bush couldn't get off the block quick enough. That's exactly one of the plays they ran against Florida State in the Sugar Bowl, also for a touchdown. The sweep to Fred Taylor.
Collins Cooper, they'll try to kick the extra point here. They haven't had a conversion today. Cooper missed his only try. And they've had 2 two-point conversion passes fall incomplete, but now they have a conversion and a 5-point lead on the longest run of Fred Taylor's career, 61 yards. The 61-yard touchdown run by Fred Taylor has put Florida back on top. Taylor over 100 yards rushing for the game, 114. His 8th game this season with 100 yards rushing or more. Jermaine Stringer took a line drive kickoff from Robbie Stevenson. Stringer still on his feet. And out to the 26-yard line. There's a louder stadium in the country. We have not heard it. Busby throws, has a man. E.G. Green into Florida territory with a first down. All the way to the 38, tackled by Fred Weary. 36 yards on the pass to Green.
E.G. Green, he's been in the slot in their 3 wide receiver set all day long. He runs down the field and then breaks outside to the boundary, and the Florida defense just had a break in the coverage. It looked like the strong safety Tony George broke the coverage.
Busby on the design rollout pass, deflected, still caught by Warwick. And he's tackled at the 30-yard line, a gain on the play of 8 yards. Mike Moulton got a hand on the pass, but Warwick was still able to make the catch, and he did well to hang on to the football as he was taken down awkwardly.
Thad Busby's only had 1 interception today, but he's been lucky on 3 other occasions that the ball wasn't intercepted, this being one of them.
Travis Minor back in at tailback. One of the attributes of Busby the coaches admire most, he does not get rattled. Tremendous poise. He's shown that again today, but Minor couldn't get loose. Mike Harris made the tackle. Coach, Florida State has run that play a lot. It looks like Florida's onto it now.
Well, after a while, you've got to be able to change things up a little bit in the shotgun formation. One of the problems with the shotgun, it's the best throwing formation probably around, but it does limit your selection of running plays. You can run the ball effectively, but your selection is limited. And you're right, Florida State has run that play an awful lot today. Now it's recognition. Mike Harris saw that play and reacted to it.
Loss on the play, back to the 32. 3rd down, a long 4, almost 5. They pitch it to Green. Green turns the corner and goes out of bounds with a first down at the 23-yard line, tackled by Mike Peterson.
Well, E.G. Green is trying to match Jaquez Green for Florida. I mean, they're running the reverses, they're catching balls. E.G. comes from the slot again. They line him up in here, so he matches up there, and they just run the reverse this way to him with all the flow.
And they ran it off that play that we were just talking
Absolutely.
about. Well set up, because Florida was onto that play the way they had been running it.
John, when you play against Florida State, you can bet off of every running play there's a counter, either a counter pass or a reverse, off of every one they do.
Single coverage at the top of your picture. Thad Busby looks in that direction and throws incomplete. Green well covered by Elijah Williams. Florida, as it will do, left the corners one-on-one. And Williams made the play, and Green needs a breather on this humid evening.
There's an example of those 2 wide receivers going onto the field that we talked about. 7 or 8 wide receivers playing for Florida State. What they hope to do is in the 4th quarter, those 2 corners, they hope to wear them down and have fatigue set in.
Well, he has to be tired because we're tired just watching this. Florida State down by 5 points. 5.5 minutes left, 3rd quarter. Minor got hit and stayed on his feet. Touchdown, Travis Minor, what a run. He bounced off Tico Brown to the line of scrimmage. Picked it back up, and he was off to the races untouched thereafter.
Well, Kevin Long, the center for Florida State, makes a great block, as does 32, Khalib Abdullah, and that's why tailbacks are able to run like this. They get blocking from the front, the middle of that offensive line, and from those fullbacks. Travis Minor, what a night for a freshman.
Now Florida State goes for 2.
Sean, you have 2 big play guys, Peter Warwick, number 9, and E.G. Green, 19. They've been the guys all year.
To the short side, Minor slipped and couldn't pick it back up again. Keith Kelsey wrapped him up. We haven't seen a successful try for two in this game. Florida's gone for it twice without success. And now Florida State is denied. But it was an impressive drive. 8 plays, 74 yards, and Minor scored the touchdown on the run from 18 yards away.
Now, the block of the fullback on the touchdown run was so critical, and the center, 51, he's the guy right there, Kevin Long. Watch his block, and now watch the fullback isolate right there on the linebacker. Those are the guys that create those creases in the defense. There's a missed tackle there by Tico Brown, and all of a sudden it's touchdown for Florida State. You know, I really didn't anticipate either team would have quite the success that they've had running the ball. I thought it would be more of an aerial show for both teams, but both teams have worked at running the ball. They've given their backs plenty of chances to try and generate some rushing yardage.
Sebastian Janikowski. Not as deep. He might be getting a little leg weary, although it was about 3 or 4 yards deep and bobbled by Carroll and alertly down, and then a shot taken as Elijah Williams came over. Brian Allen gave him a pop. Well, it was close enough apparently that the officials don't flag it. But this game is starting to resemble a game in which the team that has the ball last is going to win. They're matching each other score for score. Brandeis opens at quarterback on this possession. They fake the reverse to Green, and Fred Taylor's dumped for a loss of a yard back to the 19-yard line.
You know, Sean, Andre Wadsworth, the great All-American defensive end for Florida State, he's matched up there against Mo Collins. Mo Collins is doing a great job on him.
Doug Johnson pass caught by Jaquez Green, sprained ankle and all. He's out to the 29-yard line, 1 yard short of a first down. The tackle made by Tay Cody, the redshirt freshman corner, on what will be the last play of the third quarter. The first half was electrifying, and there wasn't any drop-off in the third quarter. Our score, Florida State 26, Florida 25. Will return to Ben Hill Griffin Stadium right after this message and a word from your local station. Great scene here at the Swamp. And it's Johnson under center to start this possession. Intentional grounding the end zone. Flag thrown, perhaps for a holding call. And that might be the makeup for the 2 points that they did not just award on the grounding in the end zone. Also might be a legitimate penalty too. Face mask is the call.
I think what happened was 79, Mo Collins, the right tackle, got his hands underneath.
Freshman face mask on the offense. Penalties decline. 4th down.
I think he got his hands underneath the face mask of number 90, Greg Spires.
Yep.
Probably not intentionally. Sometimes on those power rushes, those hands just slip up underneath those masks. I believe that's what happened.
Yes, it certainly looked like he pulled the face mask forward. So now Stevenson forced a punt, standing at his own 5-yard line. Warwick waiting at his 35. 5:19 remaining. Florida State leads by a point. Should get the ball in good field position. Another high snap handled by Stevenson. Another low kick. Warwick started at the 40. Warwick with some running room, trying to get outside. Peterson forced him to stop. Now he reverses his field, and he's giving up the yardage. Now he has room on the other side. What a run by Warwick. He ran about 100 yards. The return officially only 18 yards.
The most amazing thing about the return, Sean, there's not a flag. Normally on a punt return, it's always hard to coach. Don't block in the back. Peter Warwick runs all over this field. The odds of not blocking somebody in the back, clipping or holding, you generally see a flag. This guy just keeps reversing his field. He makes a great athletic move. He's one of the big play guys for Florida State.
And a good block there by Jeff Chaney, number 24. At the 43-yard line of Florida. The toss. Minor with a burst of speed. Minor inside the 20. Knocked out of bounds at the 6-yard line. Mike Harris saved the touchdown, a 36-yard gain.
Florida State runs a little sweep play here. They pitch the ball. Evans, he makes the block. Number 78, the left guard, and the fullback made a great block along with Stringer, 86, a wide receiver. That play generally doesn't work against the Florida defense. They usually have you outside in, and that play, they got it outside on them.
First and goal from the 6. The fullback, Abdullah, down to the 4, perhaps just inside the 4-yard line. 4:40 remaining. Florida State leads by a point. Each team with 2 timeouts left. Of course, a touchdown and a kicked extra point would make it an 8-point game, and Florida would still have a chance to tie with a touchdown and that very hard to come by 2-point conversion.
Well, and what's going to happen, think about it, they hold them for 2 more downs here. Do you kick the field goal or go for the touchdown? Florida State probably kicks the field goal and plays great defense.
Second and goal from the 4. Miner, 141 yards rushing, gets the pitch, trying to get outside, bounces off a tackler. Brad, he had a chance to get him behind the line of scrimmage, but Miner scraped off that tackle and was taken down by Mike Peterson at the 2. 3rd down and goal upcoming for the Seminoles.
Boy, that was just a great run by Miner. It looked like the play was going to be thrown for a 2- or 3-yard loss. He just turned on the speed and just sliced through there, made it a positive gain, and got it down to the 2-yard line.
This is the 3rd 100-yard game of his true freshman season. Surpassed 100 against Virginia when he had a career-high 157, and against North Carolina. Lamar Glenn checks in at wingback. He's a reserve fullback. 3rd and goal from the 2. Miner running right, stopped at the 2-yard line. Johnny Rutledge, Dwayne Thomas, Willie Rogers, all in on the play for Florida. And now here comes that decision you were talking about for Coach Bowden. And it's the field goal unit coming on.
Absolutely. You've got the #1 defense in the country. But watch Johnny Rutledge in the middle. He just scrapes, plays down the line of scrimmage, shoulder pad square, makes a great play along with Willie Rogers, number 54.
Janikowski, a 20-yard field goal try. This is the same distance as an extra point, but from a tough angle. 20-yard field goal. Janikowski booms it through. And he's 3 for 3 today. And the kicking game, the difference in the game at the moment. That missed extra point on the first touchdown of the game by Florida kind of threw Florida's approach on every subsequent score out of whack.
Well, and there's no question about it that the lever has switched over to Florida State in terms of the kicking game. They certainly have had the better place kicking today, and this guy's had a phenomenal day, not only kicking points but kicking off.
He hasn't been in this country very long. Came here a few years ago while he was in high school from his native Poland, but he's learned some of the trademark chants and gestures of fans. Only 2 losses at the Swamp since Spurrier has been the head coach starting in 1990, and as you can tell from the graphic, both against head coaches by the name of Bowden, one against Terry Bowden, the Auburn Tigers, and once against Bobby Bowden. They've won 20 in a row here since the loss at 94, have the Gators.
Well, Sean, I've been in a lot of games during my 29 years of coaching, and 2.5 minutes on the clock is a lifetime if you're on defense, which Florida State is, and if you're on offense, really, it's a lot of time.
2:38 remaining, FSU by 4. The punt return by Warwick set up the short scoring drive. 2 timeouts left for Florida. Elijah Williams back at the goal line with Bo Carroll. And Carroll will be forced to down it. The #1 ranking hanging in the balance perhaps on this drive. Could be a last chance opportunity for Florida with 2:33 remaining. Gators start at their own 20. Johnson lofts it deep. Green is behind the defense. He's at the 35. the 25. And he's tackled at the 17-yard line by Tay Cody.
Florida came with the blitz. They blitzed their inside linebacker. Samari Rolle trying to cover man-to-man against Jaquez Green. What an afternoon Jaquez has had there for Florida.
63 yards, the redshirt freshman Cody with the big tackle that saved the touchdown. And perhaps the #1 ranking. Doug Johnson remains at quarterback. Draw play to Taylor, big hole left. Taylor may go. Fred Taylor out of bounds at the 1-yard line.
It's a little draw play by Florida, and Zach Pillar, number 69, the left tackle, along with Ryan Kalich and the tight end. Those are the guys. They make this play work. It's just a little slip draw to Fred Taylor. He finds that crease, breaks it outside for the huge gain.
Shevin Smith banged him out. Johnson remains the quarterback. Taylor the lone back. First and goal at the 1. Taylor to the end zone. Touchdown! They went 80 yards in 3 plays. Perhaps too quickly. Cooper with a huge extra point. This would make it a 3-point game. Florida State could still tie it with a field goal. That one sneaks inside the right upright. 4th rushing touchdown of the day for Fred Taylor.
Well, Sean, I hate to say I told you so, but at the beginning of the telecast, we mentioned Florida's offensive line and Fred Taylor. Could they keep this game alive for Florida? I think they have today, and the quarterback play between Brandeis and Doug Johnson has been beyond expectations.
And Johnson, who was banished to the sidelines, yanked from his starting role earlier in the season after an off-the-field episode when he was out past curfew at a local establishment 2 nights before the LSU game. That game 2 days later was the first loss of the season for Florida. Johnson really been heavily criticized and scrutinized since, but he was in there and remained in there for that entire drive.
Remember, I said 2.5 minutes is a lifetime if you're playing defense. 1 minute and 50 seconds in these kind of games is a lifetime if you're playing defense. Now it's Florida's turn to experience what that lifetime's all about.
Florida went 80 yards in 3 plays. That took just 48 seconds. Stevenson kicks off. It's returnable. Lavernius Coles did not reach the 20. Elijah Williams led the coverage team. 17 yards the return. Florida State has 1 timeout. Remember, Bobby Bowden used a timeout when he seemed to be pondering changing his philosophy a moment ago, and then he elected to stay with the field goal. Louder than it has been all day with the Gators on defense. Busby running for his life. Back to the line of scrimmage, and that's all. And the clock runs.
3 sacks for the Gators. It has taken the Seminoles a while to line up for this play. 2nd and 11. Busby has a man. Bad pass might have been deflected en route. It was intended for E.G. Green.
E.G. Green working again in the slot. He's the guy they're trying to get the ball to. Tony George, who's been trying to cover him all day long. They're in a zone coverage this time. They don't play man-to-man. He's wide open in that zone. Thad Busby just didn't get the ball to him on that particular play. Now, Florida State's got 2 downs to make 10 yards.
Busby with a 4-man rush. Throws. Intercepted! Dwayne Thomas! Johnson takes a knee. Now tempers flare. Deafening noise being made by the Gator fans, and you have the feeling they're cheering just as loud in the state of Michigan for this play.
Watch number 52, Dwayne Thomas. He drops in zone coverage, plays the go route to perfection. He dropped an earlier interception in this game, but he didn't drop that one. And Bob Stoops, the defensive coordinator, you got to give him a little credit. He's played zone and man all afternoon, and his defense has hung on against the #1 team in the country in the Coaches Bowl. It wasn't necessarily a bad pass by Busby. It was just a great play by Dwayne Thomas, number 52.
The senior from Jacksonville with his first interception of the season. Florida State cannot stop the clock. Well, we said at the top of the telecast, if the Gators cannot defend their national title, the next best thing for Florida is to make sure the Seminoles don't win it. And that is likely what happened here today. Michigan will be #1 in both polls. And Nebraska will likely be #2 in each. Brandeis takes the final snap. And Florida still alive for an Alliance Bowl. A huge victory sealed by Thomas's interception. Michelle Tafoya.
Coach, you said this was your big game. This was the bowl game for you guys. This was it. Talk about the effort of this team today.
Well, obviously God's still smiling on the Gators. Quincy Green, Doug Johnson, our defense. You know, everything didn't go perfect today, but our kids just played their hearts out, and we got a big, close victory. This was good for us. We needed this one.
All right, let's send it back up to you, Sean.
Now for Michelle Tafoya, Terry Donahue, and our entire CBS NASDAQ college football crew. I'm Sean McDonough saying so long from Gainesville, Florida. Once again, the final score of tonight's game, Florida 32 and Florida State 29. The Florida State Seminoles knocked from the ranks the unbeaten and the #1 ranking.